I want to welcome you to this week's episode of the CVC Home Service Success Network. This is sponsored each and every week by CVC Success Group. And today I have myself on here, Jerry Eisenhower, Cheryl Eisenhower, and Josh Kelly. So anyway, we do this every week, hopefully to share some ideas, some processes, some concepts with managers of home service companies across America. And today we've got another one of those subjects that if you're not doing it, it could be where a lot of your waste is happening. It could be why profits aren't happening. It could be why sales aren't where you're at. And what we're talking about here is the morning meeting. The morning meeting. And this is something that I've been exposed to many years ago. My first experience was visiting my good friend Charlie Quayle some years ago and being able to observe and actually record a morning meeting that was done at Charlie's place there because it was part of the lean concept. But I've shared this with a lot of people over the years. And I know that Anthony Valerio, he talked about the morning meeting concepts as we explained when he did a recent presentation at the National Chimney Sweep Guild Convention. One of the things that we had given to Anthony that he had put to really good use in his business. So what is the morning meeting? The morning meeting is where we get together for a short period of time with everybody in the company every day. We have to sustain this. So what is the benefits of the morning meeting? Well, it gives the team the ability to understand our daily and our weekly goals. It ensures everybody's working towards the same priorities. It gives you improved communication. It gives you a way to build your team morale and your culture. It's a way to have accountability, and it's a way to have problem solvings. What's the downsides of it? If the meeting goes on too long, it's unfocused or repetitive, it can drain your time and energy. And your people may just tune out if they feel like it's not relevant to them. So whoever is facilitating this meeting needs to be able to do it effectively. Micromanagement risks. Poorly executed meetings can feel like unnecessary oversight, damaging trust, and even that we're beating up on people. If we do them early in the morning, they can fatigue employees if they're not adding value. You want to keep it short. 10 to 15 minutes is ideal. It's a quick stand up meeting. Be consistent, same time, same place, physical or virtual, every single day. Have a clear agenda. What's the goal? Make it relevant. Only include the people who need to be there. Encourage participation. Let your team members speak, not just the managers. Morning meetings are very valuable if they save time by preventing confusion, improve focus and communication, and build a positive, aligned team culture. If they don't accomplish that, they're probably just another meeting on the calendar that's really not providing value to your team members. So, again, this is a great process. And if you haven't done it, you need to really think about it because this is what winning companies do. They get their people together every day. Tommy Mello calls this his daily mojo meeting. And he has it with all of his offices every morning, doing it virtually with the remote offices that he has. So, Cheryl, what's your thought on the morning meeting processes we're talking about?
Well, the one thing they close out the prior day, the problems that were there can be brought up and talked about shortly. But they also set the precedence for the next 8 to 10 hours for when the gentlemen are there. It gives them a chance to, if they have something on their mind, they can give a short version of it. It can be carried on into later meetings with someone if necessary, but it doesn't need to be a long discussion meeting. This is more of a bullet point, get it done thing. And I'm like you said earlier, I think 9 out of 10 companies seem to carry it on too long and the guys lose interest. They don't realize, they think they just have to stand there and listen to this every day. I don't think everybody buys in and knows the relevance of what those 5 to 15 minutes can mean.
So you agree that proper facilitation of this, knowing the process and how to follow it is all important? Is that what you're saying?
It's exactly what I'm saying. I mean, if you don't have a clue what's going on, how are you going to do it? You've got to watch the time. You've got to know what you're going to say before you walk into that meeting. The thing I hate about the morning meetings when people have them is when they just go in with no agenda. They just start talking and they talk and they talk and they move on and they don't get anywhere. That's not what a morning meeting's for.
Gotcha. So, Josh, what's your feeling on the morning meeting process?
Well, in the beginning, they're going to be bitch sessions until you get through. You're going to have to get over that hump. You're going to have to control your meeting and ask them to submit their feedback in another way, but you're going to have to control it. I know someone that has a giant red clocks, like big, like day in, I don't know what you call them, but they're just giant red clocks with that timer, on there. So it's no question that we're getting close on time or things like that. And they have a hard stop to their meetings and to make them important and relevant. They have a hard start time and a hard end time.
Yep, it's very true. And like I said, it's got to be properly facilitated. And Cheryl and Josh are both right. If these things drag out too long, it's going to become very painful. I've actually observed morning meetings. It's not unusual when I'm doing a visit that I watch their morning meetings. And sometimes, yes, they drag out way too long. They're just too long-winded. There's also got to be a time in there for celebration where we celebrate the accomplishments of what's going on. We pat people on the back. But a morning meeting has another purpose that you can do, which is small segmented training, very short training. In fact, we developed our daily training tidbits just for this purpose. These are anywhere from 3 to 7 minute long daily tidbits to use on any number of subjects. They're on sales, some of them are motivation, some of them are on safety, some of them are on health. It's all different subject matters that's on our online platform, the CVC Virtual Academy. And a lot of people use these as a part of their morning meeting training. But there's also other short videos that you can pull up on YouTube and from other people to share with your people. So Cheryl, what's your next thought on this? You got anything else? Because I'm going to pull up something while you're doing this.
Actually, I'd like to ask you a question before we go forward. What are your thoughts on different days having a different lineup? I mean, like doing tidbits on Monday and Thursday and making sure that the other things are covered the other days. That way you don't have to hit some of the high points the day you do your tidbits, right?
I think that's an excellent process. And it's like you were talking about a while ago, it's all about planning this and planning the meeting. You don't just come in and decide that, hey, we're going to talk about this today and enter this completely unprepared. I mean, it's like next week, I've got 2 days of on-site at client locations next week. And my questions to each of the owners of those businesses is, what do you want to accomplish during the day? And preparing for this, I'm not waiting until I roll in the door that morning to put the thoughts together. I'm putting my thoughts together weeks ahead of time. And that's what the effective manager's got to do. Now, part of this is what you see on the wall right now is where we track and measure things. This is a photo that I took at Chimneys Plus, Charlie Quayle's location, when I went down and observed a morning meeting. And what they were doing every day is they were tracking 4 things. They were tracking their safety, the delivery. Did they meet the customer's delivery promise? Did they meet their quality promise? And did they make money the previous day? They were tracking waste. They were tracking all these different things. And every day was a reporting day, but it was also a time to add, good accolades to people when they were really knocking out the jobs. If you look on those charts, you'll see there's green dots, there's red dots, and there's yellow dots. Those are calendar sheets. So that's what we did every day. Every day we measure it. Was it a green day where we were really good? Was a yellow day means it was marginal, and a red means we were really bad in an area the day before. And that's what the facilitator has got to decide. And he's got to put his program together before he walks into that meeting room. So Josh, what's your additional thoughts on this?
Well, this is a time to review processes, You can talk about different things. You can make it seasonal, like spring comes, chimney swifts come up, heavy rains come up. So now's the time to review what our bird in the chimney policy is. What is our how do we address leaky chimneys, leaky chimney campaigns? They're good times for that. You can, as a training, I know Mr. Roydhouse, who's probably listening right now, will tell you they used to read SOPs. He would assign an SOP to someone, and that was a regular way of updating SOPs and making sure they're relevant and that people understood them and were keeping with them.
Yeah. And you just said the key thing. A lot of times we talk about a process, but we don't talk about them orally. And what we need to be doing is handing out these SOPs. And it's definitely a benefit to have the SOP read out loud by a member of the team, not necessarily by the facilitator, where they can go over this, sign off on it. Because one of the goals of management is when somebody asks a question, the answer is, well, what does your SOP say about that? That's when you're feeling really good when your SOP answers the customer's questions. This morning, I had a client call, and he was going over the last week and the problems that came in and the phone calls from the field. And I asked him the question, how many of these were answered in the SOP? And sadly, he hung his head, said, none of them. I guess I got to write more SOPs. Like, yeah, that's exactly what goes on. Every time there's a question comes up and we don't have an answer for it, that's why the SOP process, it never ends. You keep on it all the time. Right, Josh?
I will say that, when I was running things were a little bit different. We didn't have AI. So my advice would be to take a course on AI, learn how to use AI, and ask, and then you can start feeding AI information to help you write these things and take a lot of the pain out.
Yeah.
I do that routinely now for clients, is use it as a research tool and a writing tool. And you can get feedback back and forth. You can talk to the AI almost like it's a human and get feedback back and forth and develop it. And then you can submit the draft to your team for review and finalization.
Yeah.
But you can do what used to take hours and days can be done in minutes and hours.
Yes, it can be. And Bart Ogden just posted an interesting point I put up on the screen. He said, when we do our weekly safety meetings, we do it in the round. Period. Each team member in the meeting reads a bullet point or a paragraph, and we rotate around the room. And I love that, Bart. That's an excellent process because it involves everybody in the process. Everybody's in the process. Nobody should be reading Facebook during this meeting. In fact, some people make them put their phones in a box when they come into the meeting so they don't have the temptation. Nobody's answering texts. It's all about where we're measuring ourselves. But one thing's for sure, when you do this, I can assure you, your sales will go up. Your profits will increase. And your waste, that big killer of profits, is going to be lowered. It's an ongoing process. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't. But you have to really go into this, plan for it, facilitate it properly, and it goes on every single day. Every day. Cheryl, anything else on this?
Well, as I've always said, and I think I always will, I think one of the most important points is the communication, because communication will control 90% of all the problems. And I think if you can get everybody there, get their attention, like you say, get rid of the phones, have the total buy-in and listening procedure, I think there will be places where they can catch the holes and fix them before, as Charlie would say, the fumbles happened.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. We're tracking and measuring the fumbles and bad handoffs. If you make a mistake one time, we're human beings. It's going to happen. But if you make the same mistake over and over again, good God, that is a measure of insanity. Why you won't continue going through this pain. So, Josh, what about you? Anything else you want to add to this?
Yeah. I had something really smart to say a second ago. I do like the increased communications, and it's also important that the guys know that you're paying attention to them in the field, especially today's CRMs. Paying attention to how long they're at jobs. Is something wrong? Why did this job take this so long? And watching and being able to watch your daily job costings for each individual job, making sure guys also aren't milking the clock, some things like that. But it's important they know that things are being tracked in the office as well.
Yeah. Well, this has been another broadcast. We do this every week, like I said, like we do we try to bring you value. Sorry, I fumbled over some words there. But anyway, try to bring you value, processes, concepts. So the morning meeting, if you're not doing it, you need to start. And if you're doing it, how are you making it better? How are you making it exciting? How are you keeping the interest? You really got to work on this. But here's a gift for you. I actually have an SOP on how to conduct a morning meeting. And if you would like a copy of that SOP, my email address is up on the screen. Send me an email. I'll be more than happy to share it with you. No charge, no obligation, anything. I want to see you be able to use the tools that we profess. Okay? So with that, we're going to end this week's episode. We appreciate you being with us as always. It's truly an honor. It's a privilege and it's a pleasure. And we hope you've had a good week, and the next week coming will be an even better one. Thank you a lot. Have a fantastic weekend, folks.